And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to ICB TV on this Thirsty Thursday. I call it Thirsty Thursday because it's really close here and I'm dying for a really good drink, but never mind. We all have our problems to live with. Special day today, actually, because we are not only talking about Luca's, but we have the boss herself here, June Carter, who will be taking you through Luca's. Hi, June. I can't see her on there. Is she on there? I'm sorry, folks. Let me just apologise straight away. We do have a bit of a problem with our internet today. The people who have been digging up the road for several days, and you've been hearing the noise when I've been talking to you, they're actually putting in new cables for internet. So I think it's not working quite right. So, June,
mute. She just needs to unmute.
Ah.
Yes.
That's a hand.
I was just watching you walking around showing off our home.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
No. Well, yeah, all right. I'll stand out here now. I'm hoping you can see me. Yeah. So I've been trying to get you online for quite some time. Everybody else wants to see you, so they now know that you exist. And of course, you're going to be aided and abetted today by the infamous, can I call him that, Graham Hambley. Hi, Graham.
Hello, Garry.
Graham, as most of you know, does do some writing for us. You've seen his name. He tends to write little articles for us, but puts his name on every single one he's done. So he obviously wants the publicity. But he is also publisher and owner of a magazine called PQ Magazine, which for those of you who don't know, it stands for Part Qualified. And believe it or not, people who are trying to become accountants get halfway through, then celebrate and become PQs. I think he's also got an NQ magazine, which is newly qualified.
That's right.
Not as I thought it was, nearly qualified. But anyway, so hi, Graham. Nice to have you with us. And the reason Graham's with us today, other than obviously he's a friend to ICB, we'd like to have him with us, is that last year, for the first time, I think it was, he looked after the judging panel. And it's not a huge panel, but he corralled them, made sure they worked. So nice to see you, Graham. And what sort of experience was it? Did it all go pretty well?
I really enjoyed it. It's something I really enjoy doing. We do it with PQ Magazine. I also judge quite a lot of other awards. I've done something for SEMA recently on business management. And I just think it's a chance to celebrate best practice, really. And the entries were superb this year. Yeah.
June's going to talk about that in a minute. I mean, they were the best we've ever had this year, and you know, it was really tough. And I think it's a reflection of the esteem in which the awards are now held, that we get all of the big software companies involved as well, but the huge number of our own members who were so pleased that they'd done well over the past year that they entered. And then, of course, as always, we have the very prestigious Accounting Training Providers Award, which really goes down very, very well and is very hotly contested. And I had hoped that Garry would be on here today, but I'm very sorry to hear that yesterday his wife Sandra's mother passed away. So our very best to Sandra. All our thoughts are with you. She has worked very closely with ICB for a long time, and you know, it's a great shame. She's definitely an ICB through and through. But anyway, on to that. So June, hi. It's lovely to have you there. We are sitting about 20 yards from each other. You've got my normal spot, and I'm standing here with my phone. Talk to us about the origin of Luca, just for those who don't know.
You mean going back to actual Luca Pacioli?
Indeed.
I meant to bring a Luca actually to have with me, but I forgot. Luca, the statue itself, is obviously modelled on Luca Pacioli, the father of accounting, who in 1474 wrote his, and I cannot pronounce it, so I'll leave that up to you, Garry, his book on...
That's a lovely picture, Garry. Thank you for leaving us with that. I think it was called Summa de Archironi or something.
This is.
Oh, that's it.
This is our Luca. These are the original Lucas, of which I believe we only made 16. And since then, mainly for our overseas visitors who couldn't, the weight of them, they're terrifically heavy.
Yeah.
They couldn't get them home in their suitcases. So we remodeled slightly on a lighter version.
Yeah.
The picture you left on screen, Garry, then was fascinating.
Was it?
Very nice.
Well, I'm moving around. I'm trying to avoid the feedback if I'm too close to it, but that isn't a pun. Anyway, so at the moment we don't have any new awards for this year, so they are the same awards that we had last year, and I think there are 22 of them. Am I right?
Yeah.
Probably about 22. They've grown tremendously. I think the first year, 2009, we gave away approximately 9 or 10 awards. But since then, obviously, the categories have expanded tremendously. And like you say, the software companies now, we have a payroll award, a tax award, a cash flow award. It's, you know, everybody wants one, to be honest.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we've lost a couple of good people along the way, so we now have 2 awards in memory of those. Obviously, Lord Kintore, Michael Kintore, who was our very first patron. You know, he was a great friend to ICB, and it was very unfortunate when he passed away. And then more recently, Alan, who's Alan Cleverly, who had worked with us through the Genesis Initiative, and we had the Genesis Initiative on a few weeks ago, and he was a real drum banger for the micro and small business sectors in Parliament and across the country, and we were very pleased to work with him for some years, and again, unfortunately, he passed away, so we now have one in his name, which is awarded to somebody who's done something special in the small business arena. So that's quite fitting, I think. Yeah. One of the big things every year is how on earth do you make the decision? We never divulge who the actual judges are. Obviously, Graham is the chairman, but that's just to stop fighting and anything going on. And I obviously can't give any secrets away like that. But what is it exactly that makes the difference, that fine difference between second and first?
It is very, very fine. And like Graham said, this in 2019, it was extremely close. And the entries altogether have improved tremendously over the years. And it is difficult. And we tend to have, I think Graham will probably recall, sort of set piles. No's, possibles, close, a winner. And it is really, really difficult. But in the end, I think it comes down to somebody who's actually touched you. You know, you feel moved by that applicant. They've sort of ticked all the boxes. They've done the work. They've sent in the pictures and the reports and the videos. But there's that extra X factor, if you like, with the applicant.
But for me, it's always about, I run 2 small businesses. For me, it's about which bookkeeper I would like to look at my books. And that sometimes helps, particularly, you know, new practice or small practice. We're looking at someone who's really making a difference to people's lives and to small businesses. So
that's very important, Graham. Yeah.
I think it's going to be particularly difficult this year because actually we have, you know, 3,500 practices, nearly 6,000 people working in those practices. It's going to be so difficult to pick out a particular person from that because, you know, ambassadors really have been important to small businesses, and they've just gone beyond even their normal brilliant selves to keep businesses going and to make sure clients are fully kept up to date and informed on everything that's going on. So anyway, if you can, you know, so I've just got a message down there, and I was trying to read it.
That's all right.
It's going to be very difficult, and although the criteria presumably is, we're going to have a lot of really good stories that our members will be telling us, I think.
Sorry,
Joanne,
Jim,
what do you?
okay, but
No, go on.
the other thing is what we want to do is we want to use some of these stories and we want to put them into film and videos, and we want to use these people to help promote bookkeeping. What a fantastic job it's doing for making UK, will be doing for making UK PLC move forward after the pandemic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they've got a really, really important role to play.
Yeah, sorry. Look, yeah, it would be good to see more of them on film. The problem is that when you go specifically to film somebody, everybody, you know, they have their hair done, they put their perfume on, as Paula Vesey Smith tells us every time she comes on air, she puts more perfume on, and obviously we notice. Everybody's the same. And I think the thing about our members is that they are actually naturals. That's the point, you know, that they're not normally nice people, and then they're nice people doing a bookkeeping job. And we are going to be doing some work on getting some of these people on screen, being just regular people as they can be, because I think that then the people that are looking like will look at that and say, oh yeah, she's like me, or he's just like me, I can do that. And I mean, as a career, I always think bookkeeping is one that, you know, providing you know a little bit about how to keep things in order, and you've got that determination to succeed, then it's a fantastic opportunity. I mean, you get a lot of people who started off as accountants but didn't quite make it. They move over to us. But your task, obviously, is presumably to get them so far along, and then they've done all this study, and then say, okay, guys, you've done really, really well. Now take that extra push. You know, you're like Sherpa tensing, pushing them to the peak, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's really, really important for them, you know, if they don't want to be stuck as a part qualified accountant. That's the big thing, that we want them to move on to becoming newly qualified. That's where they need to get to. It's really, really important that they don't, that the journey is tough. You know, for a lot of people, it's the first time they sit exams that they actually fail. Accounting exams are tough. I know the ICB exams are tough. And so it's important that we show them the reality of the situation and try and help them on their way. That's what we're there for.
Gillian, you are all things to all people ICB. You do a lot, not just obviously Luca's. One of the things you look after is the data that we produce and what we do, and you have the ultimate say on I think everything that happens, down to the banana in the fruit bowl. Over the years, our main selling point of ICB has always been standards, hasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, how do you make sure that we are relative and we're not pernickety, but we are equipping people to be the bookkeepers of the future?
Yes, that word pernickety. Lucy Brown, I think, started it. It's a very good word to describe our members. They are pernickety. They like things right. They will find the 50p that's missing. You know, they will not rest until that's done. But we have to, as well as embrace that trait, instill in them the use of the software for their practices, because it's obviously that's where everything's going now. Government wants everything online. It will bring its own set of standards, I'm sure, because you can't hide. You know, your software's attached to the government database. It's attached to the software and yours and your clients. You're not going to be able to hide. It's actually going to, I think, bring its own set of standards and cover any fraudulent activity, if you like.
I hope so. As you know, earlier in the week, I took part in a webinar for the All-Party Parliamentary Group on blockchain. And for those of you who don't know, that is where all data eventually will be shared on one central database. Or that's what some people would like to have. So that if you have got a record with, say, the tax office, some of you then want to take out a loan, then you would be able to, rather than give them all the information again, you'd give them your unique reference number, and they'd go into the central database and they'd be able to look at that and say, oh yes, fine, that's great, you can have your loan. It's a bit scary if somebody makes an error or somebody loses the data, but I think that it's a bit
It's joined up thinking.
Yeah, I think it is joined up thinking. And the other night, we were buying things online and clicking twice on Apple Pay to pay for them, because Apple Pay's got our details, and that makes our life so much easier. So I can see everything moving that way.
Absolutely.
So let's get back to Luca's. I mean, we do have one of our Luca winners coming on today, hopefully. Julia Wedgwood, Julia from Sage, who is our bookkeeper champion as far as Sage is concerned. And she's, as I said, she's a winner as Personality of the Year. So she'll be bringing in her personality to bear this afternoon on us and tell us a little bit about what it means to be a winner. So she didn't put a name forward for that, other people did, so that must be lovely as well. I'll ask her about that. Jim, tell us a bit about the main categories. What is it that you want people to think, now it's about time I put my name forward, or it's about time I got the nomination from somebody?
Well, it starts with your journey as a student, and there is a Luca for Student of the Year, which normally is nominated by a training provider. We want to know a student who has done, obviously particularly well in exams. If they get 100% throughout, that's amazing. But quite often we have a lot of students who study under difficult circumstances, either health or they've lost their job, or something terrible's happened in their life, and actually study has sort of brought them through it. We get quite a lot of those sort of stories. And obviously then we've got tutor and the training provider award of the year, but then it progresses on to the practice, and it originally started with one practice of the year, but we soon realized that there are different sizes of categories of practices. So we now have 3, which is new, small and large, and there's certain criteria about staff numbers and things like that. For those. Then we have a range of software, which you mentioned before, the software companies, and I love their attitude at the Luca dinner. It certainly brought a different aspect to ICB's dinners with the software providers, because they really go right into it. And Brian, wasn't it, last year and the year before, when I can't remember what software it was. Gary, can you remember?
Auto entry.
Auto entry. Thank you, Sophie. Jumped a mile in the air and nearly knocked everybody flying off his table. But that sort of response to one of our sort of awards is just so, it makes the whole year worth it.
Yeah, I think the software people do. They're a bit noisier. Well, no, actually, I'll take that back. They're not noisier. They jump up quickly, but you can't say our members are quiet, because they're not. But yeah, it is good to see that. But I think that shows it's a real thrill to win this award. And I think the other thing is that I tend to be the person that reads out the envelopes, and I must stress I have no idea what's in those envelopes as much as them. But it really means something to win this award, because I think they know that there is no favour here or anything else. This is pure vote by the using public, the bookkeeper, and it's a pure vote by the peers of our members that get them into that position. They really earn these awards, and I go to some awards myself where we have a bet at the table beforehand who's going to win, because in the sequence of 4 successive years it's their turn this year, and we never want that to happen with us. We are completely independent of that, and it makes the award more important, I think.
You can't buy a Luca.
I must say I've actually won an award as well, 2017, Garry, for social media.
Social media, absolutely, yeah. Sorry, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, and that that particular year, you were doing quite a lot. I thought you were pushing bookkeepers a lot. Actually, nowadays you do a lot in your magazine about bookkeepers and about ICB. So thank you very much for that. And it's actually nothing to do with the fact that we're an advertiser, because we are a very small advertiser compared to everybody else. I think it's because bookkeeping is now part of the financial professions more than it ever was before, and people are talking bookkeeper. They're talking about what we do, and that's what we're there for. So I like that. That's good.
We've had to reflect that in the magazine. There's a lot about bookkeeping in the next issue. And we have a spotlight on a bookkeeper that was in your newsletter this month. And we've also got a Back to Basics series that we've just launched in the issue, which is going to look at double entry bookkeeping, is our very first video, which is done by Tom Clendon this month. So that's very interesting.
Interesting. So double entry is alive and kicking?
It certainly is, yeah. Not that many university students seem to understand it, but some of the people actually in the real world seem to understand the need to understand it and to help their business. Actually,
we've signed up a couple of universities recently. I mean, South Bank University being one. I mean, they're now doing a program specifically for bookkeepers, which I think they're taking out into the community. And then some of those people will want to go through and think, oh, I really like this now, I'll become an accountant. But I mean, the majority of people who come into our organisation don't go anywhere else. Stay with us. I mean, 8-9% rather stay with us. It is a different profession, I think. I hope that working with us, you've noticed as well, there is a big difference between accountants and bookkeepers, and that's not saying one is better than the other. It is just saying that there is a different mindset, there's a different way of looking at things, and you know, we try to do with that. What we try to do with our awards is recognise the bookkeeping difference and recognise the part that they play. So thank you for helping that one.
No, it's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Going back to the Lucas, one of the things people can do is they can self-nominate as well, and people have difficulty with that, which is it's a bit of a shame really, because I think it really helps you think about what you're doing with your business. It helps you understand perhaps the message you're sending outside, and just looking for some. Going to clients and just asking them to write what they think about you really helps with the relationships that you're building with people, and helps you think about the future and where you want to take your bookkeeping, either into a practice or working with some other people. So I think the awards can really help people focus on where they are with themselves and what they see their business being in maybe 2-3 years' time.
Yeah, that's very true. And Sarah Douglas yesterday was saying the difference that she felt between her first putting herself forward for the first one and 4 years later when she won, her practice had completely changed. It's sort of like writing your own business plan, if you like.
Yeah.
You say review where you are. Yes.
I think the other thing is that now that we've got 3 separate categories, we recognise small practice and large practice. And, you know, I try to stress every year at Summit that if you want to be a small practice or you want to be a big practice, there is room in ICB for both parties, both thoughts, because we're here to make sure that the standards of our bookkeepers are the best that they can be. They've got to be good to get into ICB. So if you've got the sort of lifestyle that you like and you've got half a dozen clients and that's all you want, nobody at ICB is going to tell you whether you should be expanding. And likewise, if you decide, actually, I've had enough of that, I now want to open 3 offices, have 40 people working for me, we're there as well, because we're happy to encourage you. What we're not going to do, like I'm told some of the software companies do, is ring you up every week and ask you if you'd like to employ a few more people. That's not what this is about. We can help you make the choices, but we're not going to push you into choices. And I think that's important that people realise that you decide where you go with your profession. We give you all of the advice, you decide which bit suits you, and then you do what you want to do with our support. And, you know, the one thing that June and I have said right from the very beginning, 24 years ago, is we have to support the people who are actually out there day in, day out, meeting with small businesses, trying to sort them out, trying to keep them on the straight and narrow, trying to help them build. And I like to think that's what we do. You know, we do our best. We do our best. And we're getting a lot of people saying that they like our TV spot. And so, you know, that I think we jumped in the day after lockdown with our first edition, which was a bit of a surprise to all of us. And that went down really, really well. And people are still listening to us today, thankfully, touch wood. So, yeah.
This is number 48, which is really fantastic.
Yeah, number 50 on Monday, which is going to be quite a celebration, I think. I think we missed a couple of days. We missed 2 days this, 2 days last, because you know, some of our panelists get ill, disappear, do whatever, and you know, it's a waste of time us coming on and just waffling away. So it's good. So June, can you give us a bit more insight into the sort of things which either are what you're looking for, or perhaps what you're not looking for?
What I'm looking for, the practice first, you know, they've got to be compliant. They've got to meet our requirements. And quite often we will find that you get an application and they'll list their team members, and there's sort of 6 of them, and you look on our database and we only have 3. So that's obviously a red flag to start with. I want to know why they started, what their aim is. Have they achieved their goals? Are they somewhere where they thought they would be, or not? Are they somewhere completely different? Because quite often, you know, somebody will start a practice and have, say, a couple of dentists as clients and decide that's what they're going to do, and then they branch out and find they have a whole range of clients, and the whole world has changed for them. Quite interesting, they quite often include their dog or their cat, pictures of this. I know we had a tweet last week, I think it was, who went viral practically, with members showing pictures of their dogs. But that's important. It's important that we learn about the practice and about the sort of the head, where they're going, what they're aiming for, and their support to their members of staff if they have them. You know, it's very important that they work. We at ICB, I feel, are a good team. We've always been a team, and we like to sort of expand that feeling out to the members, and therefore, in turn, the members, for their clients and their workers, employees as well. We're all in this together, if you like.
Yesterday we had Gemma on, of course, who's from Bookkeepers in Buckingham. She's a past winner, and you know, their practice, Julie heads that up. She's the matriarch, but that practice works together as a team. There are a couple of family members in there, a couple of in-laws, a couple of best friends, all sorts of things, all mixed into one, but they pull together as a team. And I think that's something that comes across whenever you speak to them. They all know about everybody else. They all know what's going on. They all pull together. And Gemma is on maternity leave. And I said, you know, how are they going to cope? And she said, right, well, everybody's ready to kick in. Of course, she's had the same when other people there were on maternity leave. She was looking at holding the fort for them, etc. So I think practice is, the thing I like about our practices, they are not only personal to their clients, but within their practices, they do seem to be very team orientated, very friendly, and it's nice to be part of something like that. You know, it gives me a buzz to talk to these practices and to hear people swelling with pride when they're talking about the teamwork that they do, and it's just something I think it just adds to what bookkeepers are about, rather than being in glass palaces and one department never talks to the other one. It's far more collaborative than that, and that's reflected in their professional body as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just talking about bookkeepers in Buckingham, of course, Julie had a back operation and then came back and won another Luca, was walked to the stage by Laurie, and Gemma yesterday mentioned in turn that Julie walked her to the stage. So it's like you say, very, very supportive. I think they've won 6, I think it is, Lucas now.
In total.
Yeah.
And I did mention yesterday as well, they always turn up particularly well dressed. Sometimes they're the only people that have done so. I mean, and you know, obviously there are different for it, but I mean, yeah, last year everybody came in their, you know, their lovely dresses and you know, their tuxes and everything else, and they really showed the profession off for what it is. You know, we're top people here. You know, we've got to remember this, and so that's great to see. One of the things that Sandra said yesterday, and Graham, you'll probably understand where she's coming from on this, is that she tried 4 times before she made it. She passed. She got her award on the 5th, and I assured her then that that wasn't because we felt sorry for her having tried 4 times. It was because on the 5th time she entered, she seemed like a completely different practice. She'd learned everything from the first 4, and she put forward a brilliant application. People who don't win but who are nominated still seem to get a great buzz from that and use that on their CVs and everything, don't they?
Absolutely. It's really important. Being runner-up is nothing to be ashamed of. I think for a lot of people, if they can just get those testimonials working for them when they put that application in, get the clients and even their people that they're working with, that would be great. That would help their entries. I think we're being joined by Julia, aren't we?
Is she there, Julie? Julia, are you there? No.
Oh, my
Not yet.
spirit.
I am, yes.
Oh,
Hello,
there.
everyone.
You're whistling a
Good
bit.
to
Where
see
are
you. Am I whistling?
Oh, you were now. That's better. You look very strange. Oh, can we see a picture?
Not in my picture.
No, I've got this little white blob in the middle. That's not you.
Me too. Oh,
Oh, there you are.
There you go.
Hello.
there I am. Hello, everyone.
Another Luca winner. Graham Hambley has just reminded us he's on as well. He's just reminded us he is a Luca winner, obviously, for social media. You are a personality, though. You've got a Luca for being a personality, that must be really fun to be told that people like you that much.
Yes, and who better than from the ICB? For me, it was a milestone achievement. That's totally up there on my top 5. Should be
Right.
one, shouldn't it? So I think that for me, the ICB and the community of ICB and the appreciation, that recognition is just phenomenal, outstanding. So really, really proud to, I was proud to have been nominated, and yeah, totally overwhelmed to have won. I really value the relationship I have with ICB and the members, because I think they're the backbone, of businesses.
Well, you're an honorary ICB, aren't you? Really?
Yes, I'm honorary.
An honorary.
Yeah, I'm part of the family.
Yeah.
So where do you keep your award, Julia? Where do you keep your award?
Yeah. Sorry, but could you say
Where
that?
do you keep your award?
Where do I? Oh, you know what it is? It's on my desk at the Sage office, and I couldn't go back in and get it because the office is all closed. So I've got some parcels there, my ICB, but I hope they're keeping it clean. So it's on my desk for everyone to see at the office when we all go back.
Yeah. Well, of course, most of our new students learn on Sage. It has been the bog standard bookkeeping package for as long as we've been running this business, and even before that, students who did bookkeeping when they ventured onto an accounting software package, it was always Sage. So you've got a lot of people who started, it's a bit like, oh, I remember that, yeah, we started a Sage. So it was always the desktop in the old days. We used to send everybody a box, and they had to open the box and get the floppy out. There'll be a lot of people now who are wondering what a floppy is, but I'm showing my age.
There will be thinking about this.
And now, of course, who sees the box anymore? Yeah, off it goes and everything's online. So the world has changed dramatically. But yeah, so how long have you been at Sage?
Last year was a milestone. It was my 30th year last year.
Wow.
Wow. So yeah, so I started when I was still at school. That's what I tell everyone. I was Sage's first working mum. That's a claim to fame of mine. And it's amazing how Sage has progressed over the years.
You need to be careful because with the current atmosphere being what it is, if anybody finds out that Sage were using child labour, they could get boycotted.
Don't think it counted back then.
So 30 years ago, yeah, because I mean, I'm trying to think, Sage is what, 40 years old?
Yeah.
40 next year.
Yes. 40 next year. So big year for Sage. And it was we were seeing when I joined, I used to be on the phones, and we didn't have computers on our desks. We just had a phone, and we had a reception that put calls through to us, and we learned how to use, the software. And being bookkeeping trained, that's what helped me massively going to Sage. I understood how the software worked and how to calculate a payroll, etc. So yes, very different now. Technology has transformed our lives.
Yeah, I remember June and I ran a magazine for Institute of Financial Accountants all those years ago called Accounting World, and I went and interviewed, I forgot the name, Graham, what was he?
Wiley.
That's Wiley. And that must be about 32, 33 years ago now. That was some time ago, and I remember we had a picture of him standing on the bridge over. That's his years and years ago. Anyway, so really nice to have you with us. So obviously you got boasting rights because you got this award. Nobody else in your group has won an award like this before, but you were pleased to get it, obviously. And has it changed your life entirely? Did you get a big prize? Did you get a ball? Did you?
I mean, I think for me, it's the recognition, from the ICB is just something that's really important. And I play the card at Sage all the time. I've always played the bookkeeper's card, and I talk about I say I feel like I'm the conscience of bookkeepers at Sage, because bookkeepers want to be treated as bookkeepers. Certainly from what I see on the forums, there's lots and lots of people looking, saying, I'm starting a practice, can you give us some direction? And I see so much recommendation, go the ICB route rather than other routes, which is good to see. And at Sage, we do value bookkeepers and understand what's different about a bookkeeper versus an accountant, because I work in the accountant and bookkeeper segment.
Well, we have lots of people to thank for the success of bookkeepers, I believe. 3 women in particular. Obviously, you're one of them. June is the other, because she has been the driving force behind this organisation for the past 24 years, and a bit of time before that as well while working. And of course, the other one is Jennifer Warrower, who was with Sage, because we went across to New Orleans to the big Sage conference over there, Sage Summit, I think you called it, and thousands and thousands, I think 12,000 people went to that. And the evening before, we walked around and we met up with Jennifer, who came over and said, hi, and how are you doing, and all the rest of it. And I said, all of your signs say accountant, where's bookkeeper? Oh, she said, I hadn't noticed that. The following morning, some 8 hours later, every single sign had been changed. There was bookkeeper and accountant. Now, that must have been several hundred signs. Where she got them printed, I have no idea at all. Some of them were stuck over the original, some were added to. But that, to me, her decision to say, right, well, actually, we do cover bookkeepers as well, let's recognise, and that made a big difference to us. And then, of course, Garry Turner, because his mum's a bookkeeper, and she won an award from us as well. He made the difference as well, because I think he felt something for bookkeepers, and Xero started to carry the word bookkeeper. In fact, they had it in a glowing neon light on their Accountex stand. So there have been some people that have been really pivotal to the way our profession has been recognised over the years, and it's a bit like our awards, isn't it, June? I mean, we recognise people. It doesn't mean these people are the only ones who are good at their job, but it just highlights people who've gone that extra couple of inches.
Yeah,
make a difference.
Absolutely. And Julia's award was one of the memorable ones. I mean, it received such a cheer when you announced it. I remember. The whole room was pleased, because the whole of ICB knows you, Julia, and you've done wonders for us. Thank you.
I love working with you. And I look forward to the days we can come back on the road together.
Yeah.
Out the way.
Yeah, that might. There is still talk about a conference in November. We are being pushed by our members to let them get back together again in November. We have no idea. My crystal ball at the moment is so cloudy I can't figure anything out. But people would love an excuse to come back, because the camaraderie at Summit is just something which has to be experienced to be believed. And yesterday, our last year's Student of the Year, Nicole, wasn't it? She came on and she was saying that she turned up for the first time because she was up for an award, but she didn't know anybody. And actually, Lucy Brown and Kirsty St. John, two of our council members, were specifically waiting for her, actually in the bar, although I think we sort of went over that one a little bit, to welcome her. And what we always do is, when we know people are coming for the first time, it's actually June's doing. She sets people out. We've got a member of the team who will wait for them. You know, we have a picture of them. We know who we're looking for. And, you know, we go and meet these people because we want to make sure they don't get to the car park, turn around and go home because they're frightened of coming into this sea of faces of successful bookkeepers. And you know, we want them to be part of it, not scared off by it. So, I mean, June, to be honest, and I know I'm blowing your trumpet a little bit here now, and you'll kick me later for this, but you are the one that brings the personal feel to the Institute, aren't you? I mean, you've always done it. It's you basically mirrored in the way we operate the Institute, isn't it?
Oh God, I've got the floor in a minute.
Well, seriously, I mean, you make the decisions what really is right for ICB and what's not. You're our moral compass.
Oh, thank you. I'm just me, you know, really. And I love people. I think we're all people, you know, and that's what it's all about. It's going through life, finding good in people, making friends, because that's what we've done through our only 24 years, Julia. We've only been going 24 years. I don't feel like I can moan anymore now. I know you've done it for 30.
Yeah.
You know, and all our members, I don't know whether we do somehow attract lovely people, but they all are lovely. And, you know, you actually want to spend some time with them, whether it's at the Luca dinner, on the phone, dancing, whatever it is, you know, talking somebody through an exam or a mock paper or some study, where to study, whatever it is. They are all lovely. And
who can forget Sylvia Forehill on the dance floor? I mean, that was an eye-opener. So, yeah, people do let their hair down. They have some great fun. I must say, she didn't disgrace herself. She just danced herself almost to the floor. She didn't. I think Paula Vesey Smith's what was it, baggy trousers? Oh, baggy trousers. Well, that wasn't I'm going to mention that, but yeah, okay, the baggy trousers. Yeah, that's another one that should go down in the echelons of history, I think, of ICB. I'm hoping in fact, I'm sure we've got it on film somewhere, haven't we? We'll. Oh yes, it's definitely recorded. Yeah, for events, I'm sure. But Graham has some very smart moves there, I've seen.
I think I should keep those very much to myself in future. What I was going to say, though, one of the other things that really impressed me about the ICB is actually some of the branch meetings as well, and how friendly people are there. People come to a branch meeting. I've been to the Surrey one particularly, and also the London one. The Surrey one, a couple of students came along. They're a little bit apprehensive. They came along. They weren't quite sure what direction their career was going to take. And the people there were just absolutely fantastic. They sat them down, they talked to them, they helped them. It was a great talk, but I think the networking and just the compassion that people showed and understanding about people just starting out on their careers and just helping them, making themselves available, giving mobile phone numbers. People were really, really genuinely helpful and just ready to help. And I think there is no competition. Really, we're all there, and I know Amy said it on stage at last year's summit. There is no competition. Everybody's there supporting one another, and that's what it's all about. And long may it last. Now, I'm happy to share their knowledge.
I've just been asked to correct something here by Lucy Brown. She says, "You make us sound like stalkers." She said they've never given photos of the people to look at, because I know our team.
Did you say? Did you say photos?
I thought, well, the team do, don't they? We have all the VIPs. We have photographs. We expect our team to remember who everybody is and look like, so that they can, doff their cap accordingly when somebody from council walks in and all this sort of stuff. So, do we not? We obviously don't get. It shows you how much I know. Sorry, I was trying to pretend I knew what I was talking about.
We are just a natural, friendly bunch of people that recognise somebody coming in for the first time.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you. I do apologise. And while I'm on, Suzanne Proctor says, Graham, on trying for the PQ magazine, it will not allow ICB members because we're not listed on your bodies who can have access. That's because they're not part qualified accountants, presumably. But there is an online.
I can change that, actually. It's something we've been looking at. So I think from now on, I will add ICB students onto the list of people who can receive it. So,
right.
I shall be doing that for the next issue after this. The next issue comes out tomorrow. I can give the ICB where the actual URL for people to download that one, which is a good one. And then I will look at changing the application card to any ICB student will be able to get hold of a copy of PQ magazine, because it's an e-magazine at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good read, actually. It has some very good articles in it.
Yeah, who writes them?
Well, you've written some, Garry, and we're always really interested to hear what you've got to say about things. I write quite a lot of them, actually. But
actually, we've had. I wrote something in the issue that came out last week about do as you're told and then don't do as you're told. 2 different angles, but. We've had one of the biggest responses ever. I'm trying to respond to everybody that has sent me an email, because I said, send me an email if you agree. And we've had, dozens of them. And we've had hits on media and all the rest of it. But it's great to know that our members, first of all, they read what we put out there. They agree with us, which is always nice to be agreed with. But they take some time, because nobody wrote 3 lines and said, yeah, we think you're great or we think you're rubbish. Nothing like that at all. I was reading them on my phone at night while I was sitting with my feet up, and on a phone scrolling, it was about 4 pages was the average. They really go to town on this, and they're busy people. They've got families, they've got work, they've got clients chasing them, and they sit down and write that to their institute. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. It's just, it's unbelievable. And thank you, all of you who have emailed in or supported or liked or given us a thumbs up or whatever. Thank you very, very much for that. We are going to be contacting you as individuals, because we want to use that now in a bigger article to cover some of the things you've said in there. Some of the phrases you come up with are advertising gold. If we can use those or borrow those phrases, we'd love to use them. And some great stuff. And there are a couple there. Sue Bruland is one who springs to mind. We've got a life story there. We've got her impressions of life, her impressions of bookkeeping, and it's an article in itself. And I said to her, can we use it? She said, well, yeah, but please do. And so we're going to be looking at that. But June particularly has been keeping an eye on this, and every couple of minutes she said, oh, we've got another one, we've got another one, we've got another one. It's a good response, June, I think.
It is very good.
And we need to do a few more things now. At the moment, my article has never before gone out on social media as well. It's been very much in-house, because some of the things I talk about are a little bit ICB specific, but it would appear that people don't mind that. They're all getting involved, so we're going to send in a few more of those out and see what happens. Until I say something that gets me into trouble, and I might stop, but we'll see how that goes. When the application is going to be open for the Lucas, Jim?
Good question. I believe first week of July, I think.
First week of July. Okay, that's great. And one way or another, and we've got some big things. If we're not doing a physical Luca Awards ceremony, we've got some very big ideas that we're working on at the moment, so that we can do something. The thing is, you can't just do it as a plain old Zoom meeting because that takes away the thrill of winning something like this. So there'll be something in there to make it slightly special, and you know, we'll make sure that whoever wins this year doesn't say, oh well, yeah, of course I won it in the year when nobody saw me winning it. That sort of thing isn't going to happen. But yeah, we've got our team working on that. So Sobi, who's anchoring today, and various other people. Amy Copeland's behind that as well, and I know we've got
lots of exciting ideas, I think.
Yeah, there are some weird, wonderful ideas coming forward. As long as
There are, yeah.
I think it'll be fun, and so don't let it put you off entering this year, because a Luca is a Luca, and this time next year, hopefully, everybody's almost forgotten about COVID, and they're too busy trying to bump the business back up to what it was before COVID, and even better. So, Graham, a lot of the big colleges and training providers and various other things have been struggling a little bit here. I'm happy to say that our big players are continuing to do really well, and you know, that's okay. Can you see some of the universities having a few problems when they come back and open up?
They're really interesting. When we first started reporting all this, we did actually say that ICB were the first to get all their exams completely online remotely. So you were ahead of the game there a little bit, which is very good for you. Some of the other bodies now are just starting to roll back into having exams at colleges. You've got the universities who are saying, well, Cambridge University is saying that they're not going to do any face-to-face teaching at all for a year. The whole academic year is not going to be, there'll be some tutorials and some one-to-ones, but all the lectures are going to be online, and that's not going to be the same sort of experience, I think, particularly for university students, that they're looking for. Freshers is, you know, going to be decimated, parties are going to be limited. It's going to be a very, very different world. And I think the first term, particularly September to December, is going to be very problematic. Sorry, Garry.
No, it's all right. No, what I was going to say was one of the big arguments that we've had ever since we started was the value of distance learning, and what were distance learning students as good as classroom-based students. And colleges, obviously, fighting their corner, have always said, oh no, distance learning is different. You know, and I've always said, yeah, but distance learning is harder because you're not sitting in a room where you are focused on the blackboard or whatever it is. They have whiteboard, they have nowadays. While finding time out of your really busy schedule to do your study, it takes sometimes to get through everything. Meanwhile, you've got a whole family commitment, work commitment behind you as well. Now, a lot of colleges have suddenly said, oh yes, well, now we can do distance learning. It's something they can't go back on. And if they're finding that distance learning is working, you know, how are they going to be able to say, well, actually, classroom-based is much, much better? Because it is, I don't think.
I think it's always, I've always much preferred the sort of blended idea. I really like the Open University when it first started out all those years ago, where they'd bring the whole cohort together for this big initial hello, where people could get their study buddies and things like that, and then go away, do your distance learning, but come back all the time. It's a bit like working remotely from home. You know, it works for some people, it doesn't for everyone. And classroom and having interactions, we are human beings after all. And as lovely it is to see you all on the screen, you know, I'd like to be able to, you know, give you a hug, Garry, rather than, you know.
Thankful for, Graham. Yes, absolutely. I mean, Julia, you work with what's called the Sage University, which raised a few eyebrows when that title came up. But you are doing a lot on training people to use Sage.
Yeah, and what we actually last year took Sage University live out onto the road. Well, it was the year before last, to give people the experience in a classroom environment, because I think it's very much about people learning different styles. So on my own, with an expert in a classroom. So we did pilots specifically for bookkeepers and accountants, elements of courses, and the bookkeeping and payroll, surprise, surprise, were the most popular. yesterday we piloted the virtual university live, more advanced course specifically on accounting, and we'll be having a debrief very soon to see what we learn from people, because not everyone's got 2 screens, you know what I mean? A number of people have had to adapt to working from home, so we want to make that experience good, learn from it, and make sure we offer it in a way that suits those, so everyone can study remotely. We've opened all the exams up for everyone, and everyone can get access to the university when we take it out a pilot. So we will be running a webinar next month on all the different learning options that you have, because sometimes people just want an answer. How do I perform a task? But I think if people actually invest time into learning, you've got the expertise in your bookkeeping, you've got the expertise in the software, it means you're more efficient from day one. And technology is changing all the time.
Yeah, it is difficult to keep up with technology. You've got to have the understanding of how a software package works. You then say, oh, well, actually, I've seen an app that will do that little bit of the process for me, or another. Part of my article was that we have found during COVID that a lot of small business clients are coming to us and saying, I've been left with this bit of software by my accountant, and I don't know how to deal with COVID. It's not normal. It's not what normally fits into my piece of software. Can you help out? And last year, as the members who are listening will be fed up with hear me say this, but last year over 10,900 new clients were signed up by ICB members. And of that, a very large percentage were people who'd already got the software, who'd migrated from paper to software on the DIY basis, do it yourself, and got completely confused, or suddenly realized, okay, I've had that bit of fun, don't want to do that anymore. It's still taking up too much time. I want to get on with running my business, which is what bookkeeping is all about, really. It's doing the bits that nobody else really wants to do.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the other thing that I hear with COVID is, maybe traditionally people didn't want to change. COVID's kind of forced people to do things differently. And so having a bookkeeper there to support clients through, because they got a tighter relationship. So having that support from a bookkeeper has helped people manage change versus someone that they hardly ever speak to, and haven't really got that strength of relationship with bookkeepers. You know your clients, you know, and you're there. They will take more encouragement from someone that they're comfortable with versus someone who hardly knows them.
I was on a thought leaders webinar yesterday run by Rob Brown. You probably know Rob. He's very well known in the, and I was the only person representing bookkeepers. Everybody else were very large accounting firms and everything else. And we were talking about the fact that bookkeepers do have this empathy with businesses, and they do work more closely. And I talked about a particular bookkeeper that had the clients had rung up and said, I think I'm really starting to struggle here. So the bookkeeper had gone to the company's accountant with whom they work regularly and said, look, I think they're struggling. Can you give them a call and sort something out? Instead of the person they normally dealt with ringing, the head of insolvency rang. Now, isn't that awful? But doesn't sum up the slightly far removed way that some organisations are treated by their advisors, whatever they are. And it's one of the things that we're saying to our members. Look, I know you've got kids screaming in the background, and you've got husbands or wives or partners or something or other there that you've not had there before. Your clients, yeah, they can put up with so much, but actually your clients want you to help them out. So whatever it is you have to do, whenever you have to do it, do what you can. And if you can't, then talk to us, talk to your buddy or whoever it's going to be. But remember that clients are suffering too, and we have to work that through. So I think 99.9% of our members seem to have done that well, and we're getting an extremely good response. So I think it's good. June, we were going to come on today and talk a lot about Luca's. I think we need to hear from you if there's anything else you need to say on this, because I think we've got carried away talking, as we always do, or I always do, about bookkeepers and ICB and you know, clever people from Sage or PQ or whatever. What have you got to tell us about Lucas? What is it you would like to say, really? You've
got to think when you, I mean, please don't be put off for nominating, because like, you know, the Sarah Douglas, 4 years before she won, and you do learn, and you get, and obviously you can be a nominated Luca, as in nominated 4 times Academy Award winner or whatever it is. But when you do your entry, you've got to think about what it is that you actually do, why you're doing it, what you get out of it, what people get out from you. What you're, you know, and like Graham says, testimonials from clients are really important, so that we get the picture that what you're telling us is actually working. But it's not just about the testimonial from the client. We need to know about you and what made you do what you're doing and what you get out of it.
And what system you use, and, you know, your engagement letters, what do they look like? Do you do anything out of the ordinary? When COVID first came along, I remember Claire Allen saying on here that she did a Zoom meeting, but she did that with her clients. She got all of her clients together to talk to each other, because they're all from the same area. They're all having the same concerns, challenges. And I mean, that was the first time I'd heard of somebody doing that. And I thought, wow, this is a great idea. So, you know, that's something different. You know, I don't know, do you send out cupcakes every Friday? You have coffee mornings with your clients. What do you do that's special? You know, what do you do that makes you stand out? Why is it that your clients say, yeah, I love dealing with him, or I love dealing with her or them?
And don't leave it till the last minute. Just give yourself plenty of time, because that's what, well, I know we all do that, but please try and, you know, if June said we can start, you can start thinking about it. Start looking at the nomination form. It's, the criteria is very clear, very simple, and you can do it. It won't take a long time. Just try and have some belief in yourself. That's what I'd like people to do.
Yeah.
And the problems with working at home are coming home to me now, because somebody around here is cooking bacon. They're obviously going to have a bacon sandwich. It smells gorgeous. I want bacon sometime tonight. Anyway, so yeah, when is the deadline for entries going to be, roughly? I can't remember what we did last year. What is it, end of September?
Yeah, I was going to say probably be the 30th of September.
Yeah, okay. So don't hold us.
We'll have a pile to go through.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I've had a lot of people already saying, when do they open, and, you know, can I do it now, and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, absolutely. It's a good exercise to see you, what you think about you, written down on paper anyway. You know, it's almost like a self-defining process. So that's good.
A love letter to yourself, Garry. A love letter to yourself.
That's it. Because I think, you know, sometimes forget just how good they are. You know, they do a damn good job. Yeah. And you know, like myself and Julia, we struggle a bit. You know, we're a bit shy, but you know, we battle through, and a lot of our people are the same, aren't they, Julia?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, as they say up north, shy bairns get nows, which means if you're shy, you don't get it. Don't ask, you don't get it.
You have to learn to blow your own trumpet. Is that what you're saying, Julia?
Oh yeah. Recognise what you do well.
That's part of being a bookkeeper. You want to go out, you want to go and sell yourself, and this is part of the process. This is learning that process as well, that you have to go and sell yourself to clients, to new clients. That's one of the areas when you go to district society meetings, that's the worry that they have. How do I get my first client? How do I sell myself to other people? Well, if you start writing it down, start thinking about what you can offer, that can help.
It's the same as writing your first ever advert or your first ever website. You don't put on there, I'm a nice bookkeeper, give me a call. You have to give more detail. You know, what is it on your website that makes people say, wow, they look good? You know, we've got people like Other Bookkeeping now that have got an animated video that they're with poor clients being battered about the head and all this sort of stuff. And when she first showed it to us, I thought, oh, this is a bit brutal. But actually, I've looked at it and it's really good fun. So, you know, well done to Other Bookkeeping. And a lot of people are using videos, they're using animated things, they're using pictures, they're using all sorts of stuff. And I think that, you know, it's that personality that comes through everything that you do that we want to plug into and what we want you to be showing us. And I think that's absolutely paramount. You know, pretend we're a client or a potential client and you want to try and win our business. That's what you've got to do.
Yeah, it's like Graham said earlier on, it's, you know, you would want this person to do your books.
Yeah. I think that's really good. Well, thank you for that, Graham. That's very handy. So, Julia, thank you for coming on.
It's been a pleasure.
Anything big coming up you need to tell us about?
We have a virtual conference at the end of next month where bookkeepers are welcome to join. There'll be sessions on some learning options with software. We'll have some keynote speakers, so watch news for that. There's a webinar, which I believe is Tuesday the 13th, 14th of July. So watch out for invites where we'll be walking through all the learning options. So take you through what's on Sage University, what help articles are useful, how to log on and get live Q&A. So we'll take you through how to learn with Sage. And of course, we're keeping our software up to date. So watch out for some fun new developments with CIS. That's due to be released soon.
God.
Yes, our favourite.
Released? I mean, it keeps getting put back and back and back.
Well, the CIS VAT reverse charge is being put back to March next year, but the need to do CIS returns hasn't. So yes, so we'll be doing some new releases on the bookkeeping software on that platform. And of course, we've got some offers running at the moment where you can get our software free for 6 months. So if you want to try it and put it in its paces, now's a good time.
So your new CEO, well, he's not that new now, is he, Steve? I mean, he seems to be doing the business. I mean, I was very skeptical because he's actually the former finance director. And I thought, well, that's no good. You know, finance man will kill it completely. But he seems to be, I have to say, doing a pretty good job.
He's doing a really good job. And I think, you know, I feel really lucky to work for an organisation like Sage who's looked after its staff during this time. They've got us all working from home. Steve and, you know, Sabi, our UKMD, are regularly on Sage TV Live, like you are for your bookkeepers. We're getting looked after in the same way by our organisations. And we're very much about making sure our people are looked after and our customers are looked after during these challenging times. So we're making sure we reach out, talk to customers, and make sure they're aware of options, talking to bookkeepers and talking to accountants so that everyone's getting contacted in the next few months, just to make sure you're, you know, that you've got everything you need.
I mean, I'm very proud that I think we're, if not the only professional body, we're one of the only professional accounting bodies that's not furloughed anybody, you know, and I think we owe that to our team. We owe that to our members so that we've got enough people to answer calls and do everything else. Having said that, the number of emails has absolutely gone through the roof. We've got people who are living, eating and breathing emails at the moment. So if you've got any there, if you haven't had a response within 2 hours, please don't send us another one because it's bogging up the system, but we will get back to you as quick as we can. I genuinely thank Sage for continuing to support ICB and our bookkeepers. I mean, you keep dipping into your back pocket to provide, you know, us with sponsorship for seminars and various other things that we do. You know, you've been through some times of change at Sage, but, you know, they always say cream rises to the top. So I'm sure, you know, you're still going to be there and we're still going to be working together for some years ahead. So that's really good. That very genuinely, that I think we do work well together, and so we're very pleased to have that support. And Sobi, who's online, will be very pleased because she's our head of partnerships. So she knows about partnership, don't you, Sobi? You're not listening. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
No, I had to. I was on mute.
Yeah, good. And give our best to David as well, because he's been brilliant for our partnership together. Good. So thank you for that, Julia. Graham, thank you for coming on. It's always good to see you, as first time you've been on to ICB TV. Hope it won't be the last. Good luck with your various magazines, but more importantly, good luck with everything that you're writing for ICB's newsletter. We need extra input from all sorts of people. So if anybody is listening and you think you are deserving of a feature on yourself, or you've done something special, send it in to us. Customer service first, but send it in to us, and we'll look at that. We'd love, it's all about people seeing other people that are doing what they want to do or what they are doing. So we'd love to feature you all. And June, I mean, it's taken me 48 programs to get you on here. You have quite often been standing prompting me with all of the information that everybody thinks I know off the top of my head, and I do not. What did you think of your experience today?
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah.
Good. So you've got to do one of your own soon. Yeah. No. Have you stay on the Lucas, because I think we've come to wind up time, or wind down. Sorry, wind down time. I'm just having a look there. Over and over. Faye says, just watch new calculations for flexible furlough. I strongly suggest payroll providers watch this over and over. So, okay. There's no way she saw that. Is that with Sage, Julia?
I'm not sure if that's with Sage. I know we've got webinars running, and that's going to get complicated, over the coming months. There's iterations of change, which which our tool is being updated at the end of this month, and will continue to be updated, and we are running regular webinars on that. So if you're using Sage, they're running every day, and there's an expert there to ask questions of.
And Faye's just come back and said actually she was talking about HMRC, but yeah, it is going to get complicated. I think the other we're trying to get some more. I'm trying to get Mark Lee to come back on, because he was talking about moral dilemmas. You all know Mark. He went down very well, but actually more and more of our members are coming into us now and saying, look, I've been asked to do this, how do I say no? So there's a lot of stuff that we're working with at the moment, and if any of you out there are being asked to make moral decisions which you think are beyond what you should be doing, please give us a call. We'll always talk to you. And I've got a call to make in a minute to one of our members who rang yesterday, and I couldn't get back to her last night. I'm going to give her a call in a minute and give us an idea of what to do. It's very important that we remember our own standards, remember the professional conduct regulations, about integrity and professionalism, etc., etc. Yet your client might be struggling a little bit at the moment, but you can't break the law. So stick to that, and that will keep you right. So, sorry to finish on a bad note. Let's finish on a high note. Tomorrow, it's thank furlough. It's Friday, and Jackie will be back here again, and she's going to have a lot to talk about by the sound of it. So that will be great. 3 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. So thank you guys for being on here. Thank you all very much for listening to your questions. Thank you, Lucy, for putting me right about the photographs, and yeah, we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.